Okay, second part of the question. It seems like we're agreed on the need to invest in infrastructure. So, how do we pay for it? Do we pay for it with tolls, by increasing tolls on the Mass Pike?
You look at me as though you don't know my answer, Jim.
Well, I have to do that.
No, we don't. You know, every time the state looks at a problem, it then immediately pivots and looks to the taxpayers' pockets. You know, every time we talk about this issue, my opponent brings up the Transportation Finance Commission report, and she always says it's one of the best instances of government that she's seen. I was in the governor's office when that commission was created. It was created 4 years before they issued their report. So it took 4 years to put together that report. If that's good government, we've got a real problem. I'm close friends with the chair of the Transportation Finance Commission. We've talked about these issues at length, and it is true that they recommend an increase in the gas tax. It is also true that they they advocate for increased tolls on the Massachusetts Turnpike, pretty much in perpetuity. To my mind, there's 17, I believe, recommendations in that document. We ought to go through the other 15 before we turn again to the taxpayer and say we want more of your dollars out of your wallet when you're at the pump, and we want more at the tolls. We ought to take down the tolls because it was wrong to burden our commuters with the cost of the big dig when they did it in 1997, and it's wrong today.
Okay. Carolyn? Same question for you.
Sure. Yes,
and the question
and pretend that you haven't answered this before.
Okay. I think this comes down to a really philosophical difference between my opponent and I in how we approach presumably the same issue, which is a need to fund infrastructure. I believe that we need to you know, consider a gas tax and any of these other options. I absolutely believe that reform has to come first and has to be a high focus for us. Tolls, I want to reiterate my position on tolls, which I've said before has been misinterpreted. I am opposed to an increase in Metro West tolls. I think we are already burdened here in Metro West with an unfair share of the big dig debt payments. I think we absolutely cannot go any further with these tolls. I said this back in January when I attended the tolls hearing, and I didn't see my opponent there. And I said any increase in tolls now is only further delaying the decision about how we are going to fund infrastructure statewide, including roads, bridges, MBTA. So I do not favor a tolls increase here. I would support discussion of a plan to increase the number of tolls statewide so that toll payments are more equitable.
Okay.
Jim, I'm either going to rebut that now or I'm going to rebut it in response to your next question. So can I have a rebuttal?
30 seconds, but
all right.
Carolyn gets 30 seconds if she so desires.
Okay, great. I couldn't agree more. This points up a fundamental philosophical difference. And as I've said all along in this race, there are hundreds of legislators in the State House right now who share my opponent's general philosophy on government. There are very few who share mine. And so with nothing against my opponent, who I know is well-meaning and a good public servant and wants to do this job for all the right reasons, her point of view on this kind of thing is overrepresented already. My point of view is vastly underrepresented, and I think people need more people going to say, no more coming to our wallets, categorically. Not we'll discuss it, not we'll do another study, not we'll tut-tut and then do toll increases while we mess around the edges for another 10 years.
Carol?
I think this is basic economics. We've got things that we need to fund. Infrastructure payments, I think we would agree that we're behind in maintenance of our infrastructure, $15 to $19 billion. Yet you're proposing you're proposing eliminating the tolls, which just eliminates $175 million needed to pay off debt. That money has to come from somewhere. You've proposed absolutely no new sources of revenue. And not only that, you've taken it a step beyond and said you're going to eliminate sources of revenue, including the existing tolls and the income tax. It just does not add up.
And actually, again, that's not true.
That's a rebuttal of rebuttal.
The governor's talking about pension reform. I've been talking about it since the beginning.
I've got a little bit more on this one if we have time.
You've got
okay.
Yeah.
Let's just go with a hypothetical assumption that toll equity, tolls on other roads other than the Pike, has about as much chance of happening as snow in San Diego. and go right to the core of the matter. Now, the governor has said that he wants to dismantle the turnpike and restructure the bonding and so forth. Obviously, tolls, you know, he wants to keep tolls. But if we eliminate tolls and we don't have a gas, where's the money going to come from? Dan, we have to invest in the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Where's the money to do that going to come from?
Well, first of all, First of all, I lived in San Diego when it snowed one time, so actually, tolls going up elsewhere in Massachusetts have much less chance than it snowing in San Diego. Look, the governor set forth a 5-point plan last week, and he laid out major reforms to the state's pension system. Well, he actually didn't lay them out. He suggested he will propose them sometime next year. He suggested when he was running for governor he would propose them right away, and then that didn't happen for whatever reason. But there are huge dollars to be found in reform of some fundamental ways that we do business in government, starting with our public pension system. You know, people who haven't worked in state government and haven't seen the way that system is gamed, with you know, legislators running for re-election and then serving one day before retiring because they get credit by serving one day for the whole year for their pension, or people who get a promotion for one day at the end of their tenure in state government because they're going to get 85% of their salary at the highest level for the rest of their career. We've got hundreds of millions of dollars in reforms out there, and frankly, when the governor said he was going to cut to the muscle in state government and then he came out with a scalpel, these are the kinds of things we're talking about.
Okay. Carolyn, your
Where's the money going to come from for the infrastructure? Tolls.
I think we need to leave in place the tolls that we have without increases. At least we know that we can continue to pay the debt service that we owe and at least maintain a basic level of service on the Mass Turnpike. I think, you know, I think we need to look at efficiencies, absolutely. I think we need to rethink the way that we do government. And one great example that I heard is the concept of taking school management, essentially, school purchasing entities, and centralizing those within a region. So the classrooms stay in the communities where they should be, absolving the administration within the school of dealing with those issues, centralizing them, hopefully getting more purchasing power so we get more for our local dollars. I think that's the type of out-of-the-box thinking that we need to bring into state government. We need to stop talking about what we can't do and start talking about what we can do to save money.
Thank you. I'm done.
all right?
I'm good.
Okay, you guys can relax for a minute. All right, it's just a little bit of a break here.